Welcome to Verbal Pick Radio, where we give you a verbal image of life, and we are everyday people. Tonight we got a special guest in the house, and that's Miss Jasmine Blue. She's a therapist, and she specializes in post-traumatic slavery disorder. I also have some celebrities in the house. I got my partner, Low Key, For the Love Records, in the building. I got D Rhymes for the Boys from the Six. I got Gary Kelly, the Boys from the Six. All of these guys are upcoming artists. You will see them. Look for them in the future. Things are definitely rolling. The message and the consciousness of these artists are needs to be displayed at this time, and especially post-Trump election. But now, we want to get into post-traumatic slavery disorder. But let me put together a scenario so you can follow the traumatic experience that took place 400 years ago in what they called slavery, but which we also understand that you also had people that were here on this continent prior to the slave that was brought here in the year 1555 on a slave ship called Jesus by John Hardy Hawkins. Okay, now, we want to take the post part, because now we after slavery, but yet we are feeling the effects of slavery. It is traumatic, slavery and the disorder which brings disunity. Now, I have Miss Jasmine Blue, who specializes in this subject. And the first question that I have for her is, at this present time, how can we get from up under the curse or the spell of the disorder? It's almost remind me something similar to the Stockholm syndrome, to where people fall in love with their oppressor.
Definitely.
And how can we get this curse off our backs?
That's an excellent question, and I've been trying to get this curse off my back as well for quite some time.
Okay.
I've discovered along the way, being in the mental health field, me being, in this community, in this world, and recognizing the disharmony, disunity that we have even amongst our closest family. You find so much drama and negative energy when it comes to even desperately trying to create a loving environment. You're gonna meet some type of barriers, and the more I dig, the root of it stems from traumatic events that we've dealt with in our subconscious, in our grandparents, things that have been passed down. I've recognized that we have to look inside of self.
Okay.
And not be afraid. One of my I wouldn't call him necessarily a mentor, but Bobby Hemmett.
Right.
He said two things that really stood out to me, other than his education. He said he learned how to say nothing very well, and I stole that from him. I learned how to say nothing very well, double master. I also recognize that we as a community, what keeps us from evolving and being great and being who we came here to be. Two things he said. One, when the new knowledge presents itself, we're afraid of it.
All right.
And two, we are afraid to make that shift in paradigm.
Right, to put it into practice.
Right, to put it in practice, to actually apply it. So you have the knowledge, but we do have the knowledge. It's there. But I remember I was afraid to, accept it.
What I understand is, what I've seen is the fight within self, or the fight with family, right?
Exactly.
And as you said, the God within, but we've been taught to look for God outside of ourselves.
That's the distraction.
And that's the street. We looking up in the clouds, and they robbing everything
Again.
On us again. So, I guess what I'm trying to get at is, how do we pull that in? Meaning, man, 400 years.
That's a long time.
That's a long time. And then it's 2016 to keep repeating and going over the same steps.
And then the media conditioning, if you turn on the TV, you don't have to go too far to, see that it's still a lot of stuff going on, killing in the street of our people. Not to mention, you turn around in your own household and, the assassination, and you turn around in your own household and the Willie Lynch theory is still working, so much discord with our spouses, with our children. all, rooted in we don't really, have the proper foundation or tongue, knowing the native tongue where we come from. Understanding that and knowing how to apply it to our everyday lives is a big piece to the puzzle that we're missing.
Okay, now in this next segment of the show, we're gonna go around the table and if y'all could tell me what with your visualization of what you see that is evident to post-traumatic slavery disorder dealing with our people, so they can know that this is something that's not just made up. This has been passed down genetically through your DNA. And before I get to that part, I was listening to Sister Shahrazad Ali, and she was saying that out of the 12% population of black people in America, 5% are men, and out of that 5%, 70% is locked up. So if you calculate how many of us that's just live out here trying to build and make families and, protect the woman, protect, man, you know what I mean? We and the purpose of the show, we need more soldiers.
Definitely.
We trying to handle so many things on so many different levels and so many different fronts. But to my partner, Low Key.
What's going on, brother?
What's up, God? How do you see the effects of it that's prevalent today in this time, this dispensation in time?
A lot of we talk and a lot of, still with the integration with the Beverly Hillbilly syndrome, bringing along things that should be left behind and not focusing on, us building Pan-Africanism, indigenous building, putting out there as a, just putting it on the table as far as jurisdiction over land, air, airways and waterways, airspace, and having that as the conversation and, just getting back to, in the indigenous way that we went about as far as studying, an approach to these different texts, from an indigenous perspective, and that's key.
Well put. Now, D-Ron, how do you see it prevalent in today's time, this post-traumatic slavery disorder?
Okay, problem prevalent. What I see is, or the best explanation for it is disconnection. We're disconnected. There's nothing to connect to. Everything that we're searching for, looking for, whatever, we have nothing to relate to. And we are not seen as, or treated as, or respected as an equal or better.
Right.
And with that being said, no matter how high we climb or whatever we do, we still don't have no, like I said, roots to stand there, to stand on or whatever. And we're not going to be given this, not only given, but we can't even take what position and respect we want because we don't know what position and respect that we need.
What we've lost.
That's why we're at each other and we still concentrate on each other. And before we can do it, we can't deal with us within us to be able to stand up and face and be soldiers against what we need to be and whatever. Because no matter how you put it, the air, the water, the food, everything's going to kill you. And we know nothing from up, down, the bottom, and sideways.
Come on.
What you got, Gary Kev?
Well, I'm going to tell you like this. I'm a father, okay? And one thing I realized as being a father, when I took myself out of the slave mentality in my mind, before I had my children, I see my children aren't slaves.
Exactly.
My children are me, a reflection of me. And all of our kids are going to be a reflection of us. You understand what I'm saying? So everything you do, they see.
Definitely.
So if you're going to be shucking and jiving, they going to shuck and jive. You understand what I'm saying? If you're going to be a grown man and stand your ground, you're going to be a grown man and stand your ground. You understand what I'm saying? My daughter, 16 years old, independently thinker. My son, 19, he in Vegas. Independently thinker, 19 on his own. Independently thinker. We are never going to be slaves because Daddy put him there. Getting the slave mentality out of your mind.
So basically, you saying the foundation from the beginning, build a strong foundation, or as it says in the Bible, that they won't stray from you if you teach them right.
Right.
Okay, we got
You preach, you teach.
We
They
can
learn.
teach. That's a foundation. So, Miss Jasmine Blue, we back at Jasmine Blue. Now, post-traumatic slavery disorder. Can we get into the medical science of it, as far as it being passed from generation to generation, or the genetic coding, or it's passed through your DNA.
Essentially, I kind of like to connect it. It's an unconscious, spiritual. I'm trying to think of a different word. Unconscious, so it's transference, energies, transferred traumatic energies. Stuck in our DNA, locked in our a lot of our behaviors that we do, or a lot of the adverse behaviors that we somehow create, or dysfunction that we create.
It's almost like a superstition.
Exactly.
Don't throw salt over your shoulder.
Exactly.
Don't look in the mirror when the sun is at 3 o'clock.
Exactly.
Because of something happened traumatic. But back the 5 monkeys. Have you heard about the 5 monkeys?
I'm familiar with the 5 monkeys.
Okay, basically it's that
Same concept.
everybody beat you up, whatever. Why? I don't know.
concept.
That's what the other ones did.
That's what everybody
Add
did.
new one, rotate them around. There's no explanation to it. This is what
Right.
we do.
So some of the things that we're dealing with on a divine level is not knowing our spiritual strength.
True.
Not knowing ourselves, not knowing. I have I think what is his name, Brother Naba, Master Naba, and there's this facility called the Earth Center, and they have one in Chicago, and they have a few centers, and I ended up hooking up with a organization here who's trying to create a comedic facility here, and so we have a meeting actually this week, and so it's basically where we study how the original metaneta, African tongue. We study how that correlates to us connecting back to our spiritual roots and getting back to nature.
So you're saying that with that we can vibrate at a high frequency?
Exactly.
Okay.
Along with some of
we're
the things that we can do now that can, lead us to that point. I know that I'm a being from a whole nother place. I got that. And I know some things that I'm missing in order to obtain a higher level of evolution. But I also know that being on this planet, we call Earth, and this dimension, third dimension, whatever you want to call it. Now we're shifting to the fifth dimension, which is a elevation in spiritual consciousness, and also manifesting on a whole different level of
We're moving into another
life dimension.
The meeting of the minds, or the masters that they have. But now
see, we're moving to
think
another
about
season. We were in the I think
You talking about Dark Ages?
No, not the Dark Ages. They were talking about how the zodiac and the times.
Exactly.
I say it's shifting now. We're shifting to another one.
Exactly.
But what are the
paradigm has
children?
been shifted.
But
It's shifting.
the children, what are the children that call it birthed in this age to catch this consciousness? Not star children.
Well, I don't think they're gonna fall for it. They ain't having it.
They're not having it. But I guess the point I'm getting at is we got several people at this table tonight, right? On a conscious level. So it had to be something. It could be ancestors waking us up, or to wake
we
you
are the
up
ancestors.
Okay, so
the voice of the ancestors.
Well, let's
They
go.
live in us.
Okay, we the voice of the ancestors,
They
right?
live in us.
Okay, so let's get into the theory. Okay, now, how do you raise this dead man or woman back to life? And I'm not talking about with physically.
Right.
I'm saying, is it a vibration to where you give a call and it goes into a person and stands them up, or is it a teaching, or is it because God is, or what we say universal law, or is in each of us, say the original people.
Definitely.
So when you wake up, it got to be something to where you can
A moment.
to wake your brother or touch that God within that individual. And so I guess what you're saying is, yes, so we get into these the metaneta and the comedic teachings, then will that allow us to vibrate on a high, and we can become that
God-like, more God-like. We are gods in a sense where we allow our God status to encourage us to operate at a higher vibrational frequency once we start tapping into putting the pieces of the puzzle together, shall I say. They left us, our ancestors left us with everything that we need. It's us, not being afraid and being able to tap into it with no fear. It's really wherever the no fear is, we need to go there.
we need to, but
no fear.
Yeah, because we need both the sisters And we need that energy
It's
from
time.
the sisters. You know what I mean? And
We
when
lost,
you
baby. Yeah,
bring,
oh,
right,
baby, it's sad. Can I cuss? It's bad. If you can't cuss, you need to cuss. If you don't cuss, you need to cuss about this stuff.
right, but we got minds. You know?
Definitely.
We got minds
We
like
do, we
these.
do.
I mean, we got entertainers.
I want to stay on.
We sick.
Speak on this point.
But we
Point
thank
is,
you, bro.
You asked
Definitely,
the
man.
question. You asked the question of how
You
do we
got any input?
touch the other one.
Any
how do
input?
we wake somebody up? How do we do that? You can't reach over and touch somebody and wake them up.
Right.
When a person is in that, when you fall into that area to where it's like nothing makes sense, nothing matters,
Right.
your body is yearning.
Right.
You fall into a state of, and a mentor will come to you.
Right.
The thing is, you can't look for it, you can't find it. The thing is, when you're standing somewhere, you could be in the mud, shoveling dirt, whatever,
Yeah.
and somebody starts speaking to you, and what they're saying to you touches you and fills you up.
Right.
Opens your eyes and give you that. You're like, wow. Just in the conversation, because you can't say, "Hey, I want to wake you up.
Right.
Hey, I want to come to you.
Right.
Hey, I want to give you
Individual,
this."
personal,
You can't do that.
yeah.
All right.
When that person.
What's your name, brother?
Godwin.
Godwin. No, I know you might have heard some of the things that we were speaking upon, right? What's your take on us, and especially us building and getting out of this slave mind to where we can build and control our own destiny?
The one thing you have to do though is say that the mind, okay, can do anything. Anything. The mind does not have any limitation. Okay? You, as the individual, limit yourself.
Indeed.
Okay? So, no matter what the situation is, if you're focused and you're determined that this is the direction you want to go and this is what you want to achieve, you set your mind to it, you will get it.
Indeed.
There you go. And that's now on the metaphysical.
Exactly.
Definitely.
To put it out there in the
Yeah.
universe.
Yes.
And it
And
comes
another thing you want to do too on that is when you talk about metaphysical, okay, not everybody understands that, okay, and you have to, in addition to your thoughts, always maintain positive thoughts.
Energy
Okay?
is important.
That drives things for you in the right direction.
Exactly.
Okay?
Alchemy.
Exactly. And then another thing you do too is make sure anything you visualize, okay, meditate on it. Okay? Meditate on it and let it go.
Definitely.
And that's it.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate that time, man.
Beautiful.
When that energy,
Beautiful.
man, is floating throughout this universe, minds
Beautiful.
start coming at the right place at the right time.
Alignment. Divine alignment.
And it's for the community. It's for the people. It's sharing knowledge, and we build on that knowledge.
Definitely.
So in conclusion, right?
Thank you so much.
Now, before I get into the conclusion, let me set this up on this show, Verbal Pick
Set it up,
Radio.
set it up, set it
Y'all
up.
can understand basically what we're dealing with. This show is where it's for free thinkers, free minds. There's no handcuffs to bound a person to one person's ideology or beliefs. Be free to be you and put that positive energy out in the universe.
Definitely.
So don't be quick to judge.
Definitely.
Take in information, learn words, and then apply the meaning of the word with action into your everyday life. But Jasmine Blue, in conclusion, for those that's out there listening, what can you tell them, or can you visualize a future that's to come if we stay on this, let's say, metaphysical, let's say, getting rid of this slavery disorder? Because the proof is in the pudding, and I'm seeing so many people with mindsets that's we couldn't have this discussion, let's say,
Last year.
last year,
Yeah.
because it seems like you got more and more waking up,
Definitely.
more and more building.
Well, just to attest to what's going on as it relates to more people waking up, it has come to a time in our, I guess, solar system where if we knew where we come from, and this is something I'm just not learning as it relates to African spirituality, this time was prophesied at thousands, years ago, right now, that we would be awakening right now. Like it was already prophesied, and how do we know?
Right on time.
Exactly. Confirmation.